Alright, I'm going to try this for the first time. I was looking up YouTube videos on how to multiply decimals by decimals using hundredths grids, but the stuff that was coming up really wasn't what I wanted to show the students, so I'm just going to try to make my own. And so here we go. So we're multiplying decimals by decimals. At first I wanted to start with a decimal by a whole number. So anytime you multiply, you're thinking, okay, I have so much in a group, and then you're thinking, okay, how many groups do I have? Well here, let's back up. Let's say I had 2 times 1. Well, that could be you saying, well, I have 2 groups of 1. Well, here's a group, here's a group. There's 1 in that group and 1 in that group. Or you could think about it like this. I have 1 group, so it could look like that, or it could look like this. I have 1 group and there's 2 in that group. So 2, or 1, 2, 2. Either way, it's going to be 2. But when I have a decimal by a whole number, so if I have 2/10 times 1, what I'm essentially saying is this, is I have 1 group, there's a group, of 2/10. Okay. 1 group of 2/10. So that would just be 2/10. Let's, I'm running out of space here. Let's say I had 2 times 2/10. Well, again, I can think this way. I could think reverse. I could say I have 2 groups, and in each group there are 2/10 in it. And that's 2/10 and 2/10, which is 4/10. Or you can think 2 times 2 is 4. Well, 4 what? 4/10. But then when we get to decimals being multiplied by decimals, you're no longer thinking I have a whole group of something. There's no whole groups whatsoever. Instead, you're working with decimal amounts. So here you're thinking, instead of having 1 group of 2/10, I'm actually having 1/10 of a group of 2/10, which is kind of strange to say, but if you think about it, I mean, it's really what's going on here. So let's think really quick. If I had 2/10, and I'm going to take 1/10 group of that, what does that mean? It means I'm basically taking 2/10 and I'm going to cut it into 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. I'm cutting it into 10 pieces, and I'm going to see, okay, how much is going to go in each piece? There's an arrow showing how much is going to go in each piece. Well, what would that be? Well, let's think about it. 2/10 cut into 10 pieces. Well, that's kind of hard to think about unless you do this. Okay, so if I do that, then I can think, well, 2/10 cut into 10 pieces is going to get me 2/100. The way that we try to think about this with decimal hundredths grids is like this. Again, I'm saying I have 2/10 in a group. So let me change this out a little bit here. I have 2/10 in a group. So here's my 2/10 in a group. But again, I'm not thinking, okay, I have 1 group of 2/10. I'm thinking I have a 1/10. I have 1/10 of a group of 2/10. So I'm going to cut this 2/10 into 10 pieces. And conveniently, this is already cut up into 10 pieces. If you think about it going down, that's 10 pieces. This 1/10 is cut into 10 pieces already, which would make 10 100ths. And here the same thing, another 10 100ths, which is 20 hundredths. And so 2/10, of course, is the same as 20 hundredths. So here, I have 2/10, and I'm multiplying it by 1/10, which means I have a 1/10 of a group of 2/10. So there's my 2/10 right there. And I'm multiplying it by 1/10, saying that I have 1/10 group of 2/10. Well, what's 1/10 group of 2/10? Or if you want to think about it just in multiplication terms, 2/10 times 1/10 is, well, what is that? Well, that's 2. 2 what? Well, 2 pieces out of, well, how many pieces are there in all? Well, 100, right? So 100 pieces. So 2 100ths, or we'd write that as a decimal, 2 100ths.